A war is spiraling, and tonight we might be watching the first moves of a much, much darker game. A game where the old rules are breaking down, and the world's most powerful leaders are no longer in command.
You have to forget the headlines for a second, because behind all that noise, these quiet signals are starting to stack up. You've got troop movements, really bizarre contradictions from world leaders, tremors in the economy. Now, when these things happen together, it really only means one thing: control is slipping.
So here's the first signal. At the request of United States Central Command, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has just ordered a 2,500-strong Marine Expeditionary Unit to move. Now, let's be clear, this is not a routine deployment. This is positioning. And positioning is what you do right before you escalate.
And you know, history doesn't exactly repeat, but it definitely rhymes. The last time America made a move just like this, it was called a temporary limited action. That action became the first step into the Vietnam War, and right now, the rhymes are starting to sound disturbingly familiar.
Okay, so let's get into this, because what we're seeing isn't just random chaos. There is a predictable pattern to how leaders slide into wars they absolutely cannot win. Niccolo Machiavelli actually wrote about it centuries ago. He warned that rulers who unleash a war without having total control soon become its prisoner.
The pattern always unfolds in three phases. First, there's intense pressure. It forces a leader's hand. Second, there's deceptive messaging, using small words to downplay the danger. And third, strategic positioning, making the next step of war not just possible, but incredibly easy. And the terrifying part? All three are happening right now.
Now pay close attention to the language being used, because the words we're hearing from key players, they reveal so much more than strategy. They reveal desperation. The words themselves are becoming signals of chaos.
So get this. In an interview with Brian Kilmeade, Donald Trump was asked point-blank if Vladimir Putin is helping Iran. His response wasn't a denial. It wasn't even concern. It was just two words. So what?
In the ruthless world of power, that is not just some casual remark. It's a tell. It's what's known as calculated indifference. And it's a giant flashing sign that a leader knows they have lost command of the board.
And this indifference, it shows the pressure he's under. Because while Donald Trump is out there calling this conflict a small excursion, powerful voices in his own movement, people like Congressman Keith Self, are already demanding the next terrifying step: boots on the ground. You can see it right there. The official story is already fracturing.
And then you have Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth claiming Iranian leaders were hiding underground like rats. But almost immediately, footage pops up showing those same leaders out in public. See, this isn't just a simple messaging mistake. This is a total collapse of credibility. And when your credibility dies, your enemies get bold.
So this is the really crucial point. The language being used is closing every single door to a peaceful way out. Donald Trump has started describing his opponents in genetic terms. Think about that. When you frame your enemy as biologically evil, negotiation becomes impossible. You can't make a deal with something you believe is just born bad.
And, as you'd expect, the ripples from this conflict are already escaping the battlefield. This instability, it's spreading through our global systems in ways that are going to affect everyone, whether you're paying attention or not.
Formula One races are getting canceled. Fertilizer prices, which you need for food production, they're spiking. Allies like France's President Emmanuel Macron are starting to question the entire strategy. And while Western ships are facing threats, China's Xi Jinping is quietly protecting his own vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. The world is getting very, very nervous.
And this isn't just some theory. The economic shock is so real that officials like Brooke Rollins are already talking about bailout programs for American farmers. That is a crystal clear signal that the U.S. government expects this disruption to get much, much worse. And right in the middle of all this rising chaos, Donald Trump posts these AI-generated images of a huge, futuristic building. You know, history shows us this is a classic move. Leaders use spectacle, the illusion of these grand projects, to distract from a war they can no longer control. The Roman emperors did it, and it is happening again.
So, the pattern has been followed. The pieces are positioned. And now, the world is stepping onto one of three absolutely terrifying paths. And there may be no easy exit.
These are the only futures left. Path 1, containment, a very fragile peace. Path 2, expansion, a long, bloody regional war. Or Path 3, internationalization. That's where Russia and China get pulled in deeper, and a regional conflict becomes a catastrophic clash of world powers.
The most dangerous wars are almost never chosen.
They're stumbled into, step by step, signal by signal. The signals are all here. The pattern is clear. So the final question isn't whether this is dangerous. It's whether we're just watching the beginning of another long war, or the opening moves of something far, far larger.